Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. We're starting a little late, and I apologize for that. I'll take responsibility for that today. But still, I think we have a great program, so it's worth it.
It's the Renegade Way.
It's the Renegade Way. It's 8-ish.
And that's what we'll be talking about today, as we will in all week, is the Renegade Way. Today's topic is going to be what's the alternative, or the alternative. And before we get to that, we want to make sure that we share some information about some things that we have coming up that you can take advantage of. I would say the biggest thing we have right now, we have a great workshop planned for the 22nd of March. It's a way for you to eliminate your obstacles. So many of us do find things in our way, and we struggle to figure out what to do. To feel like that there has got to be a better way. There's got to be another way, a better way, an easier way, some other way than being stuck in where I am and what I'm trying and what I am struggling to accomplish. So we hope that you will join us. The workshop is completely free. It'll be engaging and interactive, and we're going to offer it twice, because we know that not every time works for every person. So you can either join us at 10 a.m. Eastern time, or you could join us at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where we will help you discover a process and a way to eliminate the obstacles in front of you. Anything you'd like to add to that, Bob?
I just want to read Tim's comment. I'll be at the workshop in the morning. I'm really looking forward to it. So we're already getting the people, and Tim's been to several of our workshops, and he knows that we don't fool around. We don't do workshops to sit and talk. We do workshops to make lives easier, better, more effective. And that's our driving force from day one, and that's what we're going to do with this workshop. So give it a shot. Schedule a time now, either at 10 a.m. on that Monday or at 7 p.m., both Eastern time. You can find one of those times that you can fit into your life. I know you can if you really put your heart into it and say, I'm going to really focus and really eliminate some obstacles. What's that look?
Nothing. It's just nothing. The other thing I wanted to share.
Are you able to get free for those 2 times?
Yes.
Okay, so am I. And I could get free for 90 minutes if I had to.
Absolutely.
I just got free for an hour this afternoon that I had something else planned. So it can happen.
There you go.
So
I was going to say that if you are a member of our Renegade Success Network, you're going to get a special workshop on the 18th, which is going to dive deeper into what we will talk about on the 22nd. So if you're a Renegade Success member, I hope that you have the 18th on your schedule. And otherwise, please feel free to join us on the 22nd, where we will help you eliminate your obstacles and make your Renegade Way easier. Whether that's choosing to start at after 8 or figuring out how to eliminate obstacles, that is what we have been talking about, is how we do that along the Renegade Way. And what we thought we would talk about today is, what's the alternative? If you are not going to choose the Renegade Way and that pathway to your success, what's the alternative? And so we thought we'd have some conversation around that. Bob, do you have some thoughts about that?
I do. We all know what that looks like. That's what life is when you don't have solutions to problems, when you get up in the morning and go, oh my God, I've got to work all day today. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I can remember those feelings. I remember that distinctly, getting up and going, I run a company. What the heck am I going to do? I've got to look busy for 8 hours today. Well, I can go to the office supply store and buy a new stapler. I can get a printer. I can figure out, I can read a book. That's a good use of my time. I can call a couple of my friends who are also entrepreneurs and schedule lunch with them and not really talk to customers or clients, but chat with them, and we can kick around business ideas. I can find a million distractions when I don't want to face what I need to do to move towards my goals. So there's the stated goal. I think most of us have a stated goal that we want to achieve something. We want to create something that provides income, security, stability, opportunities. We want to help people. But stating it and doing it can be two different things. And I think a lot of us, and I can speak to this so clearly, we state it and then we wish it to happen instead of working to make it happen. And so our antidote to that, to use the word we've used in other ways, is we want to help you clear the obstacles, because we recognize, Tom and I recognized in each other and in ourselves that we had obstacles. And when we started to get together and talk about the obstacles, we were able to strategize past them. And once we were able to get past them, new things opened up for us. I'm so thankful that I got to know Tom and that he was there. And it's funny, I was thinking about this yesterday because Tom helped me with something, a personal thing. And it's amazing how often Tom is right there when I need him. And I was thinking back to all the times we'd gotten together and one or the other of us had scheduled it. And it was always when I needed Tom. And we all don't have that. We don't have the luxury of a Tom who can be there and go, Bob, so what's going on today? And when I'm left to my own devices, I'm not nearly as effective as when I'm surrounded by a community, like our community that we built, and around people that can help me remain centered and focused. Because I think that's what happens. I start going this way and that way and this way and that way. And I'm going, it's like you can run a mile. You can run a mile straight, or you can run a mile zigzagging. And if you zigzag, or a loop. Exactly. And you're spinning around and coming back to the same place. I think I spent way too many days, weeks, months, maybe even years in my career doing the loop instead of just getting where I need to go. What do you think, Tom?
Well, I think that's part of the challenge, right? Is we are standing at every day, every minute, we stand at a crossroads and we can make a decision. What is the direction that we're going to choose? What's the action we are going to take? And I think the things that run through our heads is, I can do it the way I've always done it. I can stand here stuck because I'm uncertain, overwhelmed, afraid, worried about what might happen. What are the results that might occur? Or I can choose to take action, not worry about necessarily the results. I can think about, which I think we would share as our Renegade Way, is what went well, what didn't go as I planned, and what would I do differently? And I think every moment of every day, we have those options, whether that's in work or in your personal life. We stand at a crossroads. And at that crossroads, we have the opportunity to choose. And so I think it's, figuring out what is the pathway that I want to go down. Sometimes the two easiest are doing what you've always done and staying stuck. Because if we stay stuck and we do what you described earlier, is I'm going to put it off and I'm going to go do all these other things that I can justify in my head, make sense, and are of value. And really, all I'm doing is staying still. Or I can choose the third path, which, while is more challenging and there will always be obstacles in the way, there will also be plenty of opportunities. And I think that's one of the unique things I think about the Renegade Way is, with every obstacle, there's an opportunity. And with every opportunity, there are obstacles we need to be aware of. So both of those lie within every action or every decision, every crossroads that we are at. And we just have to choose which is the pathway that we're going to go down.
I think you said it really well. Tim adds to the discussion. Sounds like you're describing analysis paralysis. And I think for some of us, that can be it. We spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out what the right solution is instead of taking a step. I think for others of it, it's assuming or wishing or praying or hoping that it will find its own way. I mean, I can remember days where I would just sit there with a really complicated problem and just go, if I sit here long enough and think about this long enough, I will figure out the solution. The problem with that is at some point, our skills are exhausted, our expertise, our knowledge, our perspective, we're out. And there isn't sitting in a room stressing over it doesn't drive progress. In fact, I think it probably does quite the opposite. I think it's the brake pads for business versus, at least if I talk to you about something, Tom, I'm trying to figure out this thing. I don't know how to do it. Most of the time, you don't tell me what the solution is. You usually just ask questions and go, a couple of weeks ago, you said this thing to me, and it feels like, is that what's going on here? That's what happens to us. We just keep defaulting to the same thought process, and the same wall keeps coming up. And I think that's one of the things in the last year working with you on all these things. I don't hit the same walls anymore. I'm hitting new challenges. They're certainly harder, but I don't feel as threatened by them as I used to. I can remember a day that I spent, I'm going to guess 8-10 hours trying to figure out the perfect business card. Had to be perfect. Now, here's the funny thing. In the last year, I think I've given out 3 business cards. And I've never had anyone go, oh my God, your business card is what's made me hire you, Bob. I'm so happy you shared it with me. Or, Bob, do you know if they make a frame the size of your business card? Because I want to frame this on my mantle because it's so amazing.
This is perfect.
For a day, I obsessed over it. And I remember hitting the button to send it in to get it printed and going through a night of absolute terror. It was like $49. But it was a huge, huge crisis for me. That was my day. So all the opportunities that could have come to me in that day, I wasn't open to them. I remember going to a networking event and being a zombie because I was obsessed with the business card. And this was an in-person event and people were handing out business cards. And I'm looking at everyone's business cards and I'm going, oh, that's so much better than mine. Oh, that's so much better than mine. Every single card. I got 9-10 cards. Every card looked better than my card. And I'm going to guess, Tom, everyone who's listening to this, watching this, has a similar thing. Maybe it wasn't business cards. With one of my clients, it was figuring out the right bank to get a loan from. And he had been to like 6 different banks. For someone else, it was like, what should I name my company? What should I name my website? What kind of corporation should I create? An LLC or an S Corp? And I remember saying to that person, hey, you know what? Make money and you can sort it out later.
Right. You can always, and I think that's the piece of it. Tim talked about analysis paralysis. I think that's the middle option is I can stand here and try to come up with, either more obstacles, more questions, more whatever, and I just never go anywhere and I stand where I am. Or I can just be like, I'm just going to do what I always do. Hey, you know what? I have that old business card and throw it out there. What do I care?
Well, you care, but it's not a deal breaker.
Well, I think it would be, you could be the person who says, I'm just going to keep doing what I always do. So whatever my card was is fine. The fact it's interesting. The fact that it has my fax machine number on there, that's okay. And oh yeah, I don't have my email address. I just have a phone number. That could be okay. I'm just going to keep going along. The other option is, oh my God, I saw somebody's got it with like a scan code, and somebody's got it with this, somebody's got it with that. And you stand there and try to think about all the options and do what you did. Spend 8 hours worrying about this one thing.
What would the job title be? That was the one that really threw me. CEO, president, principal, director, strategist. Oh,
because everybody hires you based on what your job title is, right?
But that's, and you know, and I know, Tom, it's just our brains playing a game with us and saying, this is feeling uncomfortable. This is getting scary. This is putting myself out there. And we get really paranoid. We get really worried. We create obstacles to avoid taking the action.
And why do we do that?
Because we're afraid to go into the area of uncomfort.
Because we want to be right.
I don't know if it's always that. I think that's a big part of it. But I think, I know for me, it's not about being right. It's about not being wrong. And there's a difference. There's an absolute difference.
What are both of those?
Silly judgments that have no validity in the real world.
They're judgments that cause us to spend a whole lot of time worrying about the judgment rather than saying, okay, maybe it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Okay, now I can adjust it if I want, or I can just keep moving forward and I'll adjust it the next time I go to print my cards. Because now I have new knowledge, experience, and perspective, and I can say, you know what, would be really cool to add a QR code, or to like just have a QR code, not my name or phone number or anything. You know, and then sometimes somebody will be like, well, I went to do this, I didn't have my phone, and I didn't even know who this was or why I had met them. And so I think there are always these things that, again, if we take the step, figure it out, do the best we can with what we have, and then have it become the best version of whatever's next. You know, I think a lot about the meetings that I ran for my teams and what they looked like. And, you know, going back to like, wow, why did I ever do that? Because I didn't know any different. This is what I knew at the time. It's what I had observed or what I had learned, and said, okay, this is what I'm going to, and then you modify it, you know, and I figure it took me a while to realize, like, what's the most effective way to run a meeting? And I can't count the number of meetings I went to with no agenda, whether I went to or I ran. And, you know, you said, well, let's get together and we'll have a meeting about this. And you spend an hour talking and get nowhere, or rarely anywhere.
Been there, done that, sure.
And, you know, and so how do we, rather than just like worry and fret, just like, oh, well, let me change this. And then, that was a little bit better, or maybe that wasn't. What am I going to do the next time? And I think so often we stand at that crossroads, and in my mind, either one of the first two, if you do what you're always doing, or you're just stuck trying to figure out what's perfect, what's right, what's not wrong. Either way, you're standing still, and you're not, and everyone else is flying by you. And I think those become your options. Do I want to be stuck in either the way the world was done 30 years ago, and oh yeah, we're still going to keep doing it, or oh my gosh,
or a year ago,
or a day ago, or I'm so stuck. And and everything is like, what might happen with this? And I pass judgments on what the results are going to be. Or the Renegade Way, which is, let's take the step, and then we'll figure it out from there. And then we'll take the next step, and we'll figure it out from there. And that action will allow us to always gain some knowledge, experience, or perspective that will help us continue to move forward.
And I will tell you, it's so much easier with someone else. And Tom, you and I have been doing this in the last couple of weeks. We jumped into Clubhouse. We each had heard about it a couple of times. We thought there was an opportunity there, and we jumped in. I mean, we literally, we had a 10-minute discussion about the benefits versus the drawbacks. And I was like, okay, let's try this thing. And now here we are. I think we're in week 3, and we're starting to recalibrate, retool, rethink, re-envision it. And it's led us to some really great discoveries that if we had still been debating it, and I know if it had been me personally without you involved, I would still be going, geez, I wonder if Clubhouse is the right answer. And I wouldn't have taken action. I would have had the mental gymnastics going on, and I would have missed the opportunity, or I would have missed the lessons that I could have learned from trying it. And maybe it doesn't work, and it doesn't work for everyone. And you and I are, I think it's fair to say we're looking at how we can take the good of Clubhouse and apply it in some other ways, because we saw going through it, yeah, this is where it's good for us and this is where it's not ideal for us. And I think that's the Renegade way. It's not jumping in without looking at the water below, but it's calculating, okay, it's 50 feet down. There aren't any rocks in that, because I know I've seen 10 people jump. When they land in that spot, they always hit water. No one's hit rock. I think I'm going to try it and see what it's like.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, again, what someone else shares is what's real for them.
Yep.
I may not be in the exact same. So for some people, Clubhouse is the perfect place to be. Having a standing meeting is the best way to accomplish things. Okay. How do I take that and apply it and have it impact or influence where I'm at? I used to do this at conferences all the time. It was interesting. I was always the small fish at these big conferences, and I was in athletics. So I was, with people from Michigan State and North Carolina and Duke and Texas and all these huge athletic departments who had way more resources than I could ever imagine in my one-person shop at a small, brand new Division I program. And they would be talking about all these things that you could do. They were always the presenters because, of course, they had all the great results. And I distinctly remember one time that I was sitting with 3 other people I knew who were in similar situations, all were a little different. And yet we looked at that and was like, what can I take away from this presentation? How can I take this hour, 40 minutes that I've been put in a room that I've chosen because of what the title was? How do I take some piece of that and apply it to my situation? And I think that's the piece of it, is like, how, from every experience and action, how do we take some piece of it that now influences our understanding, our knowledge, experience, and our perspective that is going to help us continue to be real and move forward? Because again, everybody's in a unique situation and everyone is going to come at it with a different what's real for them.
Let me throw a couple more comments in. Tim gives a great plug for our laser solution sessions. They're invaluable to get yourself out of that kind of rut. That's very kind of you to say, Tim. That's why we built them. We're all about helping you get past whatever's blocking you. And then Tim also says, what? No QR code on the business cards.
Yeah,
Now I'm rethinking that.
Yeah, I think it's, again, does that fit for you? Maybe,
Right.
Maybe not. If you understand it well enough to be able to explain it and make it easy, great. Then you can incorporate that. Then it's going to have a greater impact on you than me, who's like, do I really care?
Right.
It's a pain in the neck for me. So, okay, not right or wrong. For me, that's what's real.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm just going to move forward, and I'm going to put on there my LinkedIn account, because I would rather have people connect with me through LinkedIn, or I'm going to put a Facebook group, a new way for people that just works for me to share, and I think might work for them, the best way for us to connect and engage.
So Tom, can I give you my one thing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I just came up with this. We each have a choice. We have a choice every moment of every day. We can keep doing what we're doing, or we can seek solutions, seek pathways, seek alternatives, explore opportunities. We can do nothing or take an action. Even if it's not the ideal action, any action we take is an action moving towards something. So my one thing today would be take an action in an area where you're uncomfortable. A small action. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be make 50 sales calls, but if you're afraid to call people, call one person. Call a friend who's potentially a customer and talk to him and just have a discussion. Something simple, because once you start moving down that road a little bit, it gets easier. And if you're still stuck, schedule one of those laser solution sessions. I will put that in the chat box right now while Tom talks for a couple of minutes. And seriously, we want to help you figure out a solution to a problem and start you on that path.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think it's great. I would also say that, that's just your choice to do what you can stay stuck. You can do what you've always done. That's what's real for you. Okay. If you're interested in another way, it is. And I think what your point is that here's the thing is that when we think about the next step, not the end result, it's little, it's smaller. And so the risk is less. If you want to try out at your business call and you call one person and you, instead of like, okay, I'm going to call 50 people, I'm just going to knock them out right away. You might not be where you're ready. And so that has a greater impact by calling one person and being like, let me try this out. And boy, that didn't work as I thought. Or, you know what? That was not so bad. I can then do the next one. And then the next one. And I think when we take those small steps or whatever the next step is, it's not as gigantic of a challenge or an issue. So if you are struggling with that, and Bob, I believe, has put in the chat the link to
working on it right now.
All right. So Bob was going to put
had to do a little magic here
for a laser solution session. That's one way. Another way is you can join our Ring of Renegade Facebook group if you're not already a member. We're having conversations like this. We're helping people figure out how to take that next step, whatever that may be, so that you're not stuck, so that you're not just doing what you've always done because that's what you've always done and you can't see any other way. So if you are not yet a member, I hope you'll join us in our Ring of Renegade Facebook group. Or if you are a member, I would encourage you to get more engaged. Post where you're stuck, where you're struggling. Post an idea or a solution that you've had. Because when you share it, whether as a question or as something that you found as a solution for you, it is going to be value out there that someone will benefit from. For some, it might be a huge awakening. For others in the group, it might be just an interesting, I hadn't really thought of it that way. I've been doing it a little different. And so they may find some information to move forward. So I hope that you will join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or if you're already there, be more active. The way to join is just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and ask to join. It's a private group because we want to create that space where people feel comfortable to share things that can be vulnerable, that are putting themselves out there to say, I don't know. I don't have a solution to this. I'm stuck. It's not an easy thing to share in the big, broad public when we all were hired to be the expert. We started a business because we knew that's what we were supposed to do. We lead an organization because we've had experience and skill set. And yet in all of those roles, we can still find ourselves uncertain and with questions and not sure what to do to move forward. So we hope that you will join us inside of that group. All you have to do, tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community that is helping leaders, business owners, executive directors, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs,
managers,
all
line
those
workers,
people,
doesn't matter.
All the people who are standing at the crossroads and don't want to take the first two paths. And they're not exactly sure how to do that. If that's you, you are at that crossroads and you're like, I don't like the other way. There's got to be some other way. There's got to be something that's going to be easier. Join us inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. So with that, I hope that we will find you there. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone. And here is some further information about the Ring of Renegades Facebook group.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next